Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it's week 10 of La Liga. We've got La Liga Lowdown represented by Roman and obviously Martin. But first of all, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button, ring the bell. Ring the bell means we can notify you, and you do need to be subscribed. And because we will be notifying you on different time changes. Next week, we've got Champions League and Europa League, but also here on SBR, we're going to start a daily show for the NCAAB. There'll be 3 lads going through it every single day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So we and our slots might move to be a little bit earlier. So make sure that you are subscribed. And also, if you're just subscribing for the first time, then come into the chat. You're our third guest. We need you to be throwing a little bit of your wisdom out there. Feel welcome, because at the moment, this team game, you might be doing a little bit better than us. Also, press a link in the description, and that will send you over to the articles by either Martin or Alex, Tan, Dave, and they love a parlay over there. But also, there's every other article for every other sport that we cover. Now, it's week 10, gentlemen. Welcome, Martin. Welcome, Roman. I'm going to come to you first, Roman, because what's the situation like over there with Real Madrid are not quite like at it. People are saying Real Madrid are not the force. Atletico Madrid, they're struggling as well. And Barca, well, a lot of us wrote them off.
Yeah, it's definitely a very typical league so far, not just because of the football, but because of the situation, the pandemic, of course. And I think it's kind of affecting in a way how things are working, because we're playing so many games. The teams aren't maybe used to this intensity, and they're going with their national teams and coming back with the clubs again, and there's European competitions. So it's a very complicated season, and I think the teams are still struggling to adapt to it. And that's why we're seeing that suddenly Barcelona is playing really well, then not so well. Madrid are winning at the beginning, and now they're starting to lose. So I think there's going to be something common, especially at the start or the first period of the season, where clubs are still adapting to how this calendar is so intense at the moment.
Martin, so many of these top clubs in Spain, all of their players go away on international duty. You know my thoughts on the international breaks. I mean, they're an absolute waste of time unless it's properly for like a World Cup or a Euro 2020 or a CONCACAF or a Copa America. Now, I look at some of the sides and I think, well, maybe some of these teams have not had any players away, so they've had near enough a 2-week break.
Yeah, certainly good for them. It was a great win for Spain during the international break. That was the highlight of it for me, beating Germany 6-0. What a performance, especially Ferran Torres. What a superstar he looks. Yeah, very, very encouraging for Spanish football fans, I think. Yeah, you're right. A lot of these teams are packed full of Spanish players that don't get a call up to the national team, so could have benefited them. Yeah, maybe does play against some teams that would be sending players off to South America. Always suggest keeping your stakes reasonably modest in the weekend after an international break, and then ramping them up again next weekend.
Yeah, but we have got Champions League and Europa League, so it's going to take its toll right up until Christmas. Then after Christmas, we might be able to get a really decent run. First of all, let me say welcome to Alexander Richards. It's his first time, and this is what we like. It's your first time. Please subscribe and make sure that you press that button so, Alexander, you enjoy the show and you never miss one. Again, everyone show him the love and make him feel welcome. Alexander, we have a rule on this show. You don't go against my picks, okay? You don't troll me. Martin, let's start with you. First game is Osasuna at +140. We've got the draw at +220. And Huesca at +225. Osasuna, funny team, but you've got to be thinking they win this.
Yeah, a bit of a difficult Friday night clash between two teams that are in pretty poor form. Huesca did pretty well when they came up. I think people were expecting them to struggle, but they picked up a number of draws in the opening weeks of the season, showed that they're a tough nut to crack. But yeah, things kind of fell apart from them before the international break. That 4-1 defeat to Real Sociedad, then lost 4-1 to Real Madrid. So yeah, that does make you a bit pouring cold water on their chances of success this season. Osasuna, I don't think they're a great team either, really. I think these are two pretty poor teams that could cancel one another out. Could be a draw, could be a pretty drab affair, I feel. So I'm leaving this one alone.
Okay, well, if you're listen, there's never a problem with leaving it alone. You never lose any units when you pass. Roman, have teams worked Huesca out? They sit back, they wait, they're a bit dull, and they've not got the spirit of a Cadiz.
Yeah, Huesca are lacking something, I think, especially in attack. You know, they need to score the goals because the football we've seen is quite decent. and they generate opportunities, because if you look at the stats, they usually generate a lot. But the problem is that targets on shot aren't going in, so they're not scoring the goals. And if you don't get goals, you don't get wins. And as a matter of fact, Huesca are the team that have drawn more games this season so far in La Liga, with 6. So that's why I think this will be a likely draw between both sides, because Osasuna are also a team that don't go forward too much. They don't get too many goals in their games. So I see a very big possibility of Huesca adding their 7th draw this season against Osasuna.
And if we're looking for a draw, we're looking for a 0-0 or 1-1, because I can't be seeing a 2-2. So are we throwing in the unders? Because obviously I'd also look at it, if Osasuna are going to win the game, they're not going to be scoring 3 on their own.
Indeed, I think it's very likely that we're going to see few goals in this game. As I said before, attacking both sides aren't doing great. And it's just logical that they won't score too many. It can happen, of course, that suddenly one game, gets surprised, but it doesn't seem like the case, because both Huesca and Osasuna aren't great offensively. And let's not forget that Osasuna still don't have their best striker, Chimi Avila, who's still with that really serious injury. And so that's definitely a blow for them so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I am going with, I'm thinking the unders, but I tell you what, the draw at half-time seems to be one, because they both need the points, so they might be a little bit cagey. Andrea says, will we be doing a Champions League and a Europa League show? Yes, Monday morning, 8:30 we start Eastern time for the Champions League and the Europa League. I've just been telling Martin, I think it's about 11:30 Eastern time, but we will notify you because you've subscribed. Let's move on. I was so close to pressing the button here. Levante at -137, the draw at +300, and Elche at +400. Roman, Elche, they seem to get a result when they're around +400.
I mean, yeah, they go against the odds, and get those wins. And so far, I think Elche are more of a interesting side, a more compact team than Levante at the moment, because Levante have not won since match day 3 at the moment. It's just draws and defeats for them. So that's definitely not very hopeful in their situation. And I just feel like, Elche could snatch something from this game. They're an interesting team. They're not amazing, but they look better than Levante overall. And Levante, despite that decent start, because against Valencia they lost, but they played really well. Then they had a couple of good games, but then from there on they've just gone down. They're not scoring as much as they were before, and defensively they're conceding goals. So I think that Elche do have a good opportunity in this game to maybe snatch the 3 points.
Yeah, and listen, at +400, then maybe a double chance is the way to go. Alex Classic. Now, Alex Classic for Alexander, who's on his first day, means that both teams to score and over. And I also see that you've gone for maybe Osasuna and the over. That's a risky one, because you can't guarantee that both teams are going to score. So you're looking for Osasuna to score 3. That's a tough ask. Alex Classic maybe for Levante and Elche, Martin.
Not sure, Flash. Not sure, really. I'm not sure what's happened to Levante, really, this season. They were putting in some terrific performances last term, going out all guns blazing, some really exciting attacking football. Haven't really seen it this season. I mean, in their 3 home games, they've got 2 draws and a defeat. They've only scored twice in that time, conceded 4, keeping things reasonably tight at the back, but not showing a great deal of ambition going forward. Been scoring more goals on the road, actually. The form book would suggest that Elche are going to get a result here. They've got 2 wins out of 3 on the road. Levante have been very, very poor at home. So you might think that Elche would get something. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to pass this one, but if I had to, I would probably give Elche maybe a +1 Asian handicap and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Elche double chance must be good odds. And obviously, I'll get you to look that up, because we've even got Rude Boy going, Flash, put Elche on the draw forward for the 8-team parlay. Remember, we do a 2-team parlay at the end, and it is the final. It'll be leg 7 and leg 8, because obviously we've done the Premier League, we've done Serie A, and we've done Bundesliga already. Yeah, tricky old game. Tricky game now, the next game, because we was all on Real Madrid. I was waiting for a 4 and 5 team parlay for Real Madrid, and they got absolutely dicked. So we're going to go Villarreal +180, draw +300, and Madrid at +130. No Sergio Ramos, or we're not expecting Sergio Ramos to play because he pulled up with his hamstring. But they gave away so many penalties last time, Martin. And honestly, if there was one leg I was confident on, it was Madrid to win away in Valencia.
Me too. I was all over Real Madrid to win that game. I mean, how they couldn't do it, it was just ridiculous. The champions of Spain starting to pick up, looking in reasonably good form. Eden Hazard back, leading the charge. Up against crisis club Valencia, who just lost Kondogbia, just another central midfielder gone. The squad has just been ravaged, and somehow they contrive to get absolutely thrashed. Like Roman said earlier, I think we're going to see quirks like this during the first half of the season, just because of the intense schedule that the teams have to face. You know, they've been playing a lot of Champions League football. With this one, I do think there's value on Real Madrid. I know Villarreal have been in excellent form so far this season. Fair play to Unai Emery. He's proved me wrong so far. Picked up a lot of points. But having said that, I think Real Madrid are the stronger team. Yes, you could argue that they've probably had a lot of players away on international duty. Hazard wasn't with Belgium, by the way, but and Benzema doesn't play for France, obviously. So their forward line should be pretty strong. Yeah, maybe a couple of the midfielders. Modric has been away in Sweden, but still, I think they should be in pretty good shape for this. And I think Real Madrid draw no bet looks like a very appealing option here. Just quick shout out to Alex in the chat saying the hairdo. Yeah, hairdressers are shut in the UK due to the lockdown. So give me a few weeks and I'll get it shaved off.
I was having a chat with him yesterday about his beer, and he started talking to me about his beard. Obviously, I think he got lost in translation. Roman, Madrid have got to win this game, especially after the performance and the result in last time out against Valencia. Roman, are you there? Oh, we've lost Roman. So we will endeavour to get him back. And then when we do, I'll go back and ask him about Madrid. Now, for Martin, we're going to talk about Sevilla at -135, draw +300, and Celta at +650. Sevilla have played so much better than the results.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, it's quite shocking to see them so far down the table. We were talking earlier before the season started, weren't we, that Sevilla are title contenders. They were unbeaten after the restart in La Liga from June onwards, went on and won the Europa League, beat several big teams en route, including Inter in the final. And it just hasn't happened for them so far this season in the league. They've been pretty strong in the Champions League. They're just a very, very strong team in midfield. Technically, very good quality on the ball. It's just a shame they don't have a dynamite striker to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. Luke de Jong chips in with a few goals here and there, but I do think they're missing that out-and-out goal scorer, as I've said many times. But you would still fancy them to have enough attacking quality and just enough quality all over the pitch to be higher up in the league than they are right now. I think they're going to be pretty disappointed if they look at that league table. And they're going to see this game against Celta Vigo as a really good opportunity to bounce back, return to winning ways and start climbing up that table. This is a bit of a bogey team for Sevilla, though. They've been very poor against Celta Vigo in recent times. Last 3 games, they've lost 2 and drawn 1, which doesn't really give you a great deal of confidence in their ability for this game. But it has just been a horrific start to the season from Celta Vigo. Always seem to be less than the sum of their parts. Always seem to be scrapping against relegation, despite having some pretty good players in their squad. Nothing seems to click for them. And this looks like a really difficult game for Celta Vigo. So I'm going to go for the Sevilla win.
Don't complicate it. And the big thing with Sevilla, they are going to thump someone. They are going to put up 3 or 4 goals and really cruise. And remember, they've got important games coming up next week as well. Roman, welcome back. Sorry about your connection. Obviously,
sorry about that.
I'm apologising. I had nothing to do with it. But we were talking about Villarreal and Madrid. And I was saying about Madrid's performance last time out was nothing short of rubbish. The penalties, they didn't really have a fire in front of goal. But against Villarreal, who arguably are better than Valencia, we might see an improved performance from Madrid.
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I really just think Villarreal can get something out of this. You know, they're a team that usually put Madrid under a lot of pressure, and how they are actually playing lately, they're doing really well. They're getting wins. They're the top part of the division. I think they can actually really get something out of this. And as we said before, Ramos is not available. Varane is still in doubt. So that's 2 very important players in their defense. And we know that Villarreal's strength is in attack. It's with Paco Alcácer, it's with Gerard Moreno, and these guys are scoring goals. They're in form. They're fantastic strikers. And I just think that Villarreal are going to get something out of this. I don't know if it's going to draw no bet or maybe a double chance, but I have a feeling that Villarreal could get points because Madrid don't look good at the moment, especially after that thrashing you guys talked about against Valencia. And I just see Villarreal with a really good opportunity in this game.
I'm just wondering if this is the type of game, exactly what Madrid needed, that they've got to focus on it, and they've got to, because obviously the standard of opposition is better than Valencia, and it might just have been a wake-up call. I'm really looking forward to seeing this game and see how Madrid cope, or whether Villarreal, they go for the throat. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. The next game, Roman, we were talking about was Sevilla versus Celta. Now, Sevilla, I believe they're going to thump somebody. And Barcelona's come up with team total over 1.5 at 1.94, which is minus 105. I'm already going to put that in the two-team parlay. I think that Sevilla score twice, so that's going in. And Martin thinks Sevilla, don't complicate it, they win at minus 135.
I guess, yeah, obviously Sevilla are the favourites at the moment, seeing how Celta have gone. The question is whether they're going to have that extra boost when a new manager comes in, such as Eduardo Coudet in this case. Teams sometimes with a new manager get an extra boost of motivation and somehow get a win out of nowhere. But of course, at first, I think Sevilla are favourites. But it is true that they usually struggle a bit against Celta because in the last 5 meetings between both sides, Sevilla have only won one game. So that's not a great stat for them. And then we also know that offensively, they're not scoring too many goals. And Nesiri, De Jong, etc. aren't really getting the goals Sevilla need this season. And there's also no Suso or Jesus Navas available, who are quite important offensive weapons for Sevilla. So I think they will get a close win, like maybe a 1-0, something like that. But it won't be an easy game for Sevilla. It looks easy, but I don't think it will be as easy as people think.
They are playing so much better than their results are suggesting, though. They are creating loads of chances. True. They are they interchange so well. They play long balls. They play long diagonals. They play short foot. I really love to watch Sevilla. And if you haven't seen them, then please go out your way to try and watch them, especially next week in the European competitions. Let's move on. Atletico plus 190, draw plus 250. And Barcelona at plus 160, Roman. We got Atletico with no Suarez. That's a massive bonus for Atletico. And we got Barca amidst another storm of Messi causing trouble.
It's one of those games that you never know what's going to happen. Because, of course, as you said now, Suarez is not available. Big setback for Atletico de Madrid. There's been this outbreak in the Uruguayan national team with Torreira, also from Atletico de Madrid, with the COVID because of this gathering they had before the game. They had like some sort of barbecue with all the players. They were wearing no masks, no distancing, etc. So apparently there was a little spread there. Well, a little spread, big spread, I'd say, because quite a lot of players have COVID now. And that's definitely a setback for Atletico de Madrid because we all know that Luis Suarez was probably desiring for this game, getting back at Barcelona, who kind of got rid of him during the summer. So he would have loved to be there. And Cholo's definitely not going to be happy about that. And also, let's not forget that Cholo Simeone has played 17 games against Barcelona. Guess how many times he's won? None. He's only got 6 draws and 11 defeats. So that's definitely something Barcelona have in their favor. And I think that they're going to keep with this statistic. I don't see Simeone winning this game. I see Barcelona with a good opportunity, despite not having Ansu Fati. They still have other weapons. Coutinho could be available once again. And despite all the Messi hustle, when Messi's on the field, he does his job best. He's the best player there is, and he can make the difference. So I think he'll be important in this game for Barcelona. And I really see Barca getting something out of this.
Roman, can you see this being a fiery game?
That's a good question. After international breaks, things just don't work as they usually do. So I do think that there will be goals. There should be. But at the same time, you think that Luis Suarez isn't there. Depends on what form Diego Costa. And we do know that Joao Felix is doing great lately. So I think there could be goals in this one.
Yeah, I've gone with the Alex Classic. I actually think that, Barcelona could win 2-1, 2-2. I think that all of this, Atletico throwing caution to the wind or making sure they keep the back door tight, I think it goes out the window. I think that they feel as if they can go and win this game. But I think Barcelona think exactly the same as well, Martin.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting game, like Roman said. Atletico Madrid haven't beat Barcelona in the league since 2010. that's a pretty dreadful record, really, isn't it? When you consider that they've been two of the three best teams in Spanish football over the past 7 years or so. They've got a pretty good record against Real Madrid, so it is very surprising to see them struggle against Barcelona to this extent. But I do think that they have a chance of getting something out of this game. It is disappointing that Suarez isn't going to play, because he would have been really fired up for this one, and he'll know those Barcelona defenders inside out. I know you don't like him, Flash, but still a quality player for me. But what it does mean is that Joao Felix can really take this chance to shine up front. I know Diego Costa has been injured. There's a chance apparently that he might be back fit, but I can't see.
Yeah, he is. He's off of the injured list. I had a look at the injured list, and he's back. And I think he'll be a menace.
Yeah, it might be a bit risky just to throw him in straight from the off, because he hasn't played for a while. But he could be an impact substitute in the second half. But it's probably going to be Joao Felix, maybe with Lorente in support, maybe Vitolo, someone like that. I really do think they can get something out of this one. A lot of quality in midfield, and I do just think Barcelona aren't that great this season. Messi does look a bit disgruntled. I know he'll probably still turn it on the pitch, but I still don't see much from that midfield. I think they're struggling at the back. And Atletico Madrid are the only unbeaten team in the league so far this season. Flying high near the top, very, very solid. Simeone will have them very well drilled. And I think there's good value on Atletico Madrid, a draw no bet. So maybe it'll finish a draw, and we'll all get a push. But I'm definitely leaning towards Atletico for this one.
Okay, if it's going to be a draw, I want it to be a 2-2, because I'm going with the Alex Classic. Andrew Ray says no win or loss recap at the beginning as usual. 100% right. I love it when people pull me up. Fab, stick up our records, please. There you go. Just as you said, Martin, minus 2.62. La Liga Lowdown, that's Roman, Paco, and Ewan at -3. Flash, -2. Parlay, what you doing? I don't know what that parlay geezer thinks he's up to, -4. 12 units down. That fluctuates. And I'm sure this weekend, I think we're going to get plenty of that back. But as you can see, all of our records can just turn around within one weekend. And thanks for the nudge, Andre. That's what you're there for. Okay, let's move on. That's a great game, by the way, that Atletico Barcelona game. Eibar at +265. 265 at home. Draw +200. Getafe +130. We like Getafe, but we can't rely on them. Martin, Getafe at +130 away from home. Are they having any of your money?
They're not, but I would be leaning towards Getafe. I think they're the stronger team here. They generally seem to play well when they've had quite a long time to rest in between games. We saw that towards the end of last season, didn't we? The ageing squad that they've got, they really struggled in the heat with the quick turnaround between matches. Don't think too many of them were off on international duty, so they should be pretty well prepared for this game. Eibar, blown hot and cold so far this season. Picked up a couple of interesting results recently, but I would suggest that Getafe could go there and get something. Not one of my official plays, because there's games I like more, but maybe Getafe draw no bet, something like that.
Yeah, and whenever you look at these set of odds, and they're like +265, +200, whenever I see a draw, Roman, at +200, it comes out to be a draw. Then bookies, they're not bookies for no reason at all. And skinny odds on the draw means 9 times out of 10, it will be the draw.
I mean, a draw is definitely a very likely outcome, seeing the form of these two teams. I mean, they're very irregular, we could say. They're having lots of ups and downs during the season. But there's one stat or a couple of stats that really take me away from this game. I really don't want to put my money in it, because one is that Eibar has got no wins at home and only scored one single goal at home. And the other is that Getafe has not won away from home. So I really don't know where this is going, to be honest. It's a game I would exactly stay away from. Not put my money in it, because I think it can go absolutely any way, even though Getafe are slightly favorites because they have the better team overall. But you just don't know, this game could go any way.
Yeah, I agree. But obviously, I just go by the numbers sometimes. And when I see +200 that for the draw, that tells me that you can't split them. So don't forget, there is always a third runner, and that is the draw. Core Competence asked me about the Ligue 1. and says, we've got no time to be doing French football. It's all about PSG. We obviously keep an eye on it because obviously we need to know about what the teams are doing in European competition. But the schedule is so hectic that we take the 4 main leagues and we leave the French alone because majority of the time, listen, it's not as entertaining. Let's put it that way. Okay, but obviously if you've got something that you want to put in the chat that you think is a good one, then put it in, and the boys and girls, they might just follow you in, and there's another winner to be had. Like this game, Cadiz plus 350, draw plus 260, Sociedad at plus 100. Roman, Sociedad have really started to turn the corner after I left them alone in week 2 and week 3, but Cadiz, they know how to upset the apple cart.
Yeah, we've seen Cadiz surprise a few teams such as Real Madrid so far this season. They are definitely dangerous. But their best results have always been away from home, which is quite surprising, but it's a fact, you know, so that's something to keep in mind. And we know how Real Sociedad has finally turned the table. They're playing really well now. They're getting the results. They're getting the goals. They're fantastic, like we saw during big part of last season. That's the Real Sociedad everyone wants to enjoy. And they're playing lovely football, you know. David Silva is taking control of that midfield. Oyarzabal is doing great in attack, scoring goals, leading the team forward. So I really think this is definitely a Real Sociedad win. And I see quite a few goals coming up in this one. So, I mean, we could look at some overs, over 2.5 maybe overall.
Which is strange because Cadiz, they don't really score many goals. I mean, they are, why they've done so well at home, away from home, is that they just have 5 at the back. They have 2 front screens. They tuck their wide men in, and they look to hit you on the break. And they've got pace up the front. They just let him get on it. It's almost like a poor man's Leicester. So do we trust Cadiz at home, Martin, or do we go with Sociedad, who score week in and week out?
Yes, you don't want to read too much into home and away form during the age of COVID because, you know, there's no fans inside stadiums.
But they set up differently, don't they? Because certain teams, they play on the front foot when they're at home.
So when you look at the form, Cadiz, 2 draws and 2 defeats at home, whereas they've got the best away record in the league. So you have to look at that and say they're going to struggle. On the road, Real Sociedad 1-3, drawn 1, scored 11, conceded 2. That's emphatic. You know, they're phenomenal on their travels. They've had a great start to the season. It was a bit slow in the first couple of weeks because they had that COVID outbreak. David Silva couldn't make his debut. Since then, they're on fire. They've rattled off 5 consecutive victories, and they're just playing such nice football in midfield. It was great to see Oyarzabal in the national team scoring in that 6-0 win for Spain that I mentioned. I always think he's a quality player, and it's great watching him link up with David Silva there and Mikel Merino, who's been a revelation. I'm not sure who he's going to go with in attack because he's got Porto down that right, or he's got Adnan Januzaj, but there's attacking depth there, and Willian Jose out front. I think they're going to have too much for Cadiz in this game. Cadiz do like to keep things tight. Don't score enough goals for me to trouble Sociedad's defence, which isn't the greatest aspect of their game. But I just think Sociedad should have enough guile in midfield to open them up and get all 3 points here. So I'm going for the away win.
Yeah, I also look at this game maybe being tight for an hour, 65 minutes. And then I see Sociedad being able to bring strength from off the bench as well. So, yeah, I mean, I like Sociedad there. But this next game, it gets my banker, and I cannot believe the price. Martin, it's Granada at plus 115, draw plus 220, Valladolid at plus 300. There's a couple of things I can't get right. We love Granada at home. We get Granada at plus money. And they're playing against a team that doesn't score goals. So how are Granada plus money at home?
I don't know how the bookmakers have priced this one up either, Flash. I'm totally with you. Again, talking about home and away form, Valladolid, 3 defeats out of 4 on the road, winless. Granada, very, very strong at home, unbeaten, only conceded 2 goals in that time. They love playing at home. We all bet against them before the international break, and we all made a profit on that. But that was because they had that COVID outbreak. 2 weeks since then to recover. All their key players should be back. And they have been struggling a little bit with with European commitments in midweek. That shouldn't be an issue this time. They should be pretty well rested, fired up. I think Valladolid will set up to stifle them, to thwart them for large parts of the game. Don't think it's going to be a particularly high scoring match, but yeah, Granada look by far the better team out of the 2, and I'm going for the home win.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's my banker, Roman. And is there any reason why it shouldn't be my banker? And also, both teams to score? No.
There isn't any reason, to be honest. I subscribe everything Martin said, basically. Granada are a great team at home. Granada are going to be rested because, as we said before, there's been the international break, and also because in the last game, most of the Granada players couldn't play because of the COVID situation. So there was only 7 players from the first team, and only 4 ended up playing at the end of the game. So, I mean, it's something that to keep in mind, because Granada now are going to have time to rest, to recover, to catch up with coach and get back to their good form. And I think it's a clear Granada win, honestly.
Yeah, I don't complicate it. And we're getting plus money. Even Barca's having a piece of that. And he normally loves to complicate things. Comes up trumps, but he loves to complicate it with the team to win and team totals and goals and penalties and red cards. Next game, I've got to leave this alone because I don't know how the visitors are going to play after their last performance. Because we've got Alaves at plus 140, we've got the draw at plus 225, and we've got Valencia at plus 180, Roman. Can we read into the performance and the confidence that would have been taken a massive boost after beating Madrid and scoring 4?
I mean, it's going to be difficult because, I mean, all that momentum came right before the international break. So, you know, that kind of breaks a bit the thing there was there for Valencia. And it's kind of definitely going to help them. It's definitely going to give them a boost, and they're still going to keep it in mind. But as we all know, Valencia always are a very complicated side. And when things are going well on the field, outside, there's always stuff happening for them. So I just don't know what to think of Valencia this season, to be honest. They just keep doing a bit of everything. They win a game, they do great, and the next game they lose, surprisingly. Then you don't really know what's going to happen. And on the other hand, we know that Alaves started off really, really badly, but now have just lost 1 game out of the last 4. So they're finding their rhythm little by little, and they could be a bit dangerous for Valencia. So as you said, it might be better not to risk any money in this game.
What about goals, though, Roman? Do you fancy goals in this game?
I mean, I think there could be goals because Alaves' strikers are beginning to get in form. It's true that Maxi Gomez might not be available for Valencia, but Valencia can obviously score goals, even if it's from the penalty spot, as we saw with Carlos Soler. So I think we could maybe find some value in goals if maybe there's some interesting betting prospect there.
There is. I mean, it's nearly plus 100 for both teams to score. And I'm thinking, Martin, Alex Classic, if you want to be greedy, but surely the worst case scenario is it's 1-1.
No, my only tip is don't ever bet on a Valencia game for the rest of the season.
Listen, I'm like that with quite a few teams.
Just look at the round of fixtures, and there's only 9 to choose from, because always ignore the one that Valencia are in, because they should be losing every week, but they keep pulling off these remarkable victories when nobody expects it. They'll lose to the worst teams, they'll beat the best teams, they'll do all sorts of strange things over the course of the season. So just forget about them and move on.
No, listen, I'm like that with a few sides. And again, I don't mind anyone passing because you're never going to lose any units. The last game is Athletic Club at plus 130. Draw plus 225. And Real Betis at plus 240, Martin. I've got this down as being a bit of a basketball match. Both teams fancy they'll win. And I'm certainly going with both teams to score.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think Betis have got a few injury problems, haven't they? Nabil Fekir's out. Not sure how they're going to fare. I don't like this one at all from a betting perspective, I'm afraid. Haven't been very consistent at all so far, Athletic Club this season. Very poor start, and then they bounce back to form. But I'm still a bit unconvinced by them. I would be leaning towards Betis if they didn't have the injury problems that they've got. But as things stand, I'm going to leave this one well alone.
Okay, Roman, it's our last game. Are we going to see goals?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm with Martin here. I think it's quite a doubtful game. I think we know that Garitano, the coach of Atletico Bilbao, needs to get results because he's in a tight position. And they won against Sevilla not long ago. It seemed like they were getting back on track. But then again, they lost against Valladolid, who's one of the poorest sides in the competition. So Athletic Bilbao are very unreliable. And I would also incline a bit more towards Betis because they have got poor results lately. But those games were against Barcelona, against Atletico Madrid, and against Real Sociedad, 3 of the best or strongest sides there you can find in La Liga. So Betis haven't had an easy calendar at the moment. And they're playing good football, to be honest. They got thrashed against Barca, but I think the score didn't really reflect how they played. So I honestly think Betis have a slightly better chance, but Athletic are very desperate at the moment, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
Okay, well, we've got 114 watching, but only 34 thumbs up. Any chance that you just press the button? See his finger? You go and press it, and it'll make the thumb turn blue. And it shows a bit of appreciation to the La Liga Lowdown boys and Martin and all the effort that they put in. But it's also that people will come and see the video and they'll enjoy your chat as well. So you remember you're part of the team. So no thumbs up means that they're not enjoying your chat. Now, let's have a little look and see where the money's going this week. Fab, stick up the picks, please. Okay, we're going to start with Martin. He's gone for Real Madrid, draw no bet at -135. Sevilla at -128, straight win, don't complicate it. Atletico, draw no bet, +115. What a great game that is. Real Sociedad at +110. He's obviously gone to flash his bookie because I got +100. And Granada at +118. It's unbelievable that we can get that type of value on them as long as they win. Now, Roman's picks. Barcelona, draw no bet, -136. Sociedad to win and over 2.5 goals at +260. He's not messing about there. +260. And Osasuna draw at +210. Osasuna draw, yeah, so that means draw half time could well be a factor as well. Now, my picks. Granada, that's my banker. 3 stars at +115. Sociedad to win at +110. Atletico, Alex Classic at +110. I don't think neither side are going to sit back. I think they're both going to go for throats, and it's going to be like a basketball match. And Athletic Club, both teams to score at -110. I know that Barca man's put in there that it's like around -105, but I really fancy that. Now we've got to find a 2-team parlay. Well, I've already committed to Sevilla at team total over 1.5, so that means it's got to score twice, at -105, which is great. Now, Martin, Roman, you in the chat, give us a little bit of a meat on the bone. I want a second selection, please. Martin?
I'm going to have to go for Real Sociedad to win away at Cadiz, but you could also make a case for Granada to beat Valladolid. You know, even if you're doing it, if you're putting these things in a parlay, you don't even need such high odds, do you? So you can do draw no bet on Sociedad or on Granada and still get good odds. So yeah, I'd recommend them for parlays this weekend.
Okay, and what about you, Roman?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I didn't put Granada on my list, but after rethinking it, I think they should be also one of the main picks. So it's between Real Sociedad and Granada. I think they're both the favorite sides. Maybe, I don't know why, I incline myself a bit more towards the Granada game. But as Martin said, I think both teams can give value in a parlay, and they look like clear favorites for those games.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. We're going with Sevilla. Team total over 1.5. Come on, get the 2 goals, Sevilla. You score 5 or 6 in one of these weeks. -105. And we've got Granada at home at +115. So that's a 2-team parlay. And that's going to pay up around +310. So +310 for a parlay. That will certainly sort us out. Now, thank you very much to everyone who's joined us. If you are new, then hopefully you've subscribed. Thanks for coming into chat, Alexander. I hope you enjoyed your first show. I hope everyone was quite gentle with you. But remember, have a great weekend. On Monday, we've got Champions League and Europa League. So make sure you know what time zone. If you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. Ring the bell means that we will notify you and you'll never miss any content. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled. You press the link in the description. That'll send you over to the boys, the greedy boys, who love a parlay on their articles. And that'll be from Martin and Alex and Tan and Dave and every other sport that we cover on SBR. There'll be a written article to go with it. So enjoy. Roman, good luck this weekend.
Thank you. It's going to be a very entertaining game, so everybody watch that.
Martin, sorry to wake you up. You can now go back to sleep, and I'll see you on Monday for Europa League.
Thanks very much, Flash. Good night.
Have a great weekend, everyone. You take care.